The time is here. Oh, it's Warrior. Before we dive deep in on the Warrior, let me tell you, this one was by far the hardest one for me to make. This is my least favorite class. This is my least favorite archetype in any game, but I did this for you guys. If you watched my streams while I made this, I apologize greatly for what you witnessed. If this helps you in any way, for the pain and suffering I went through for this, please, I would appreciate a like and a subscription on YouTube. Much love. Let's get into the traits, baby. I lied. Just before we get into the traits, let's talk a little bit about Warrior. This class is some of people's favorite class to play in any game. And the Warrior in this game feels extremely similar to those types of games. In Season 1 specifically, I will be honest with you, the barrier to entry on this class is pretty high. So if you feel like you're constantly just getting beat up and or bullied and you're playing a Warrior, do not get discouraged. If this is your favorite class, pursue through, and the further you get into the game, the stronger the Warrior actually becomes. So at level 1 with no gear, this is the weakest class. It is not even close. By the time you're level 20 and have at least greens to full blues on, you're officially a monster. You are a walking Hulk himself, and everybody is afraid of you at that point. So that in-between part of this class is where your skill in learning and having experience on it is really going to carry you to the next level. Do not get discouraged. 100% keep going. If you like this type of class in the games, you will love this one once you really get it down. Now let's get into the traits. Alright, so in the future, I foresee a lot of these traits actually changing. Warriors feel like they have the most lackluster traits in the game. As far as the other classes are concerned, there's a lot of these that are fundamentally, in my opinion, completely useless. So we're just going to ignore those, and we're going to talk about the ones that you do have that are really, really good for you. So first and foremost, Master of Arms, which is your centerpiece. You have two main hand weapons. So you can have a mace and shield and an axe. To switch between these weapons, you just hit Z. You're the only class that is actually supposed to be allowed to run two weapons at the same time. Tactical Mastery gives you a increase in bonus on whatever weapon you're using. I personally use Mace and Shield the most. It is the strongest weapon right now, bar none. And if the other ones are stronger, the skill cap on using them is way too out of reach for me. So I stick to the Mace and Shield, and I get a lot of increased armor from the Mace and Shield, as well as this Mastery. So in total, it's about 10% with a white Mace and Shield and this Mastery. That's a lot of physical damage reduction. Vitality increases your max health by 10%. This is obviously a lot of health. This is like 100 or 125 health or something like that, just off of getting this trait. That's very nice. Thick Skull, reduced damage taken from headshots. Nah, not really that, important. Wound Clot. This is a really good trait. This will allow you to cure your wounds without using bandages. So the longer that you are out of a combat situation, you will actually wound heal over time naturally. This is really, really good. This saves a lot of bandages. It almost makes it more important to carry double pots, so like 12 potions rather than extra bandages. Pain Management. This one I use a lot, and it's when you become enraged, you absorb all damage equal 10% of your maximum health. There are some ways in the build that I play that forces enraged constantly. So whatever your HP ends up being at the very end game, all you have to do is hit that button, get enraged, and get a 10% maximum shield, right? This is where that scaling is starting to show. The higher you go, the more HP you get on your gear, the more HP you get when you shield. It's just such a high, it's a expensive class, I would say. This is the fine wine of classes. it requires a little bit of grind. Retaliation. When you block break an enemy, you become enraged for a short period of time. I use the Mace and Shield. We'll go over that as well. But when I break somebody's shield, I become enraged. When I become enraged, I get a 10% shield. And there's other ways I get it as well. Advancing guard. You can sprint while blocking. This actually comes in handy quite a bit. Keep in mind, if you're sprinting while blocking, your stamina is actually going down as well. And then Executioner. This is the Timmy Slayer. This is every time you pick up an ear from an enemy that you kill, it gives you 2% damage up to 5. So 10% damage in total by just collecting ears from people that you kill in the game. Flurry. Your charge and heroic leap causes you to become enraged for a short period of time. Anchor Chain. After pulling an enemy with Iron Grip, you can tether them to the ground, reducing the distance they can move from the anchored location. This also is what I love to use. This is really strong in my opinion with Mace and Shield, and you guys will see that throughout the video. Sorry for my dog. And then Killing Spree. After slaying an enemy, players or monsters, you gain 30 rage. So your class is dependent on this rage. We will go more into it, I promise. But rage is life. Now let's get into the skills. All right, now into the skills. As you can see here, I am equipping a mace. And in this current state of the world, in the game, I recommend using the mace. If you have a second weapon, use the mace. If you start off with junk gear, drop the other one, use a mace. Use a mace, use a mace. The other weapons have niche opportunities to be used. Mostly if your opponent stammed out. But really, if your opponent stammed out, what should you use? The mace. The mace is all in all just the best weapon the warrior has right now, which is why I leaned into it so heavy. If you really want to get the basics of the warrior down, I highly recommend just using a mace. There are plenty of other content creators that play warrior at a high level that can use these other weapons. That's not me. I really did struggle making this video because I did not like playing the class. But what I found was if I just stuck to the Mace and Shield and crutched it essentially, I'm able to make it work. Now, Quake is your Q ability, and what this does is it essentially makes a quake on the ground. And if you slam the mace in the ground, it goes boom, and it does damage to people. That's a really nice ability. I use Iron Grip. This is where when you hook your chain at somebody and you pull them to you, what you can do is you can use your interaction button, which is E by standard, and then you can actually tether them to the ground. You can put a stake in the ground, and then you keep them at a close range to you, which you'll see in some of the videos that I have of me actually engaging in fights. I use this quite often. I know a lot of people use Iron Tether. It is not my favorite. I like the Iron Grip because it's a little bit more displacing. Rather than me having to come to you, you have to come to me. Downside, you have to hit the Iron Grip. Either one of these options is perfectly acceptable. I just use Iron Grip because it is my preference. Now, number 2, you have Rampage, Battle Frenzy, and Raging Shout. I use Battle Frenzy personally because I want to become enraged the minute I want to become enraged. And if I use Battle Frenzy, it immediately puts me in an enraged state. So not only does this make me unstoppable and deal bonus damage when I use it, it also gives me a 10% maximum shield. And it cancels animations. So if I'm doing a jump attack with a mace and I get stuck in that animation, if I hit Battle Frenzy, it breaks me out of the animation and I'm ready to continue the assault. It also stops you from being snared or rooted. So if you have a rogue that uses the Phantom Daggers on you and goes to you to cheap shot you, if you pop Battle Frenzy, you break out of that root and you're free to go. Same thing if you get caught in a Hunter Trap, that's a snare, you pop Battle Frenzy, and you're free to go. And you get a 10% health bonus on the top of it, and you get to deal some bonus damage. The other two have some play and can be used. I just prefer the Battle Frenzy because it suits the easier playstyle in this current meta, where you die if you get stammed, stunned, slowed, snared, rooted. So I just picked the thing that gives me more HP, which is leaning into the strengths of the character, which is that shield from enraging, as well as being able to get out snares and roots. I used Raging Shot a little bit. This is not so bad. I can find use on this, but it leaves me too vulnerable. And then Rampage is just very counterable once you know how to fight against it. I recommend using Battle Frenzy and getting really good and understanding it well, because this will make your life easier, I promise. Your 3 skill. A lot of people like Charge. Nobody ever uses Heroic Leap, and they shouldn't. And Warpath was the new skill for Season 1. And Warpath, in my opinion, is the way to go. And the reason being is because if you are running Charge, although you do get this enraged bonus when you charge, the skill is very dependent on one-dimensional movement, and you have to have specific pants to make it work. The benefit to Charge is the threshold of rage that you organically gain without using or attacking anything allows you to charge immediately. Warpath allows you to run extremely fast in any direction you want, and it feels extremely, extremely aggressive when escaping and chasing people down. The downside of Warpath is that original threshold of rage does not allow you to use it on command. In order to use Warpath on command, it is a requirement to use horns. It is a requirement to use horns on this class anyways. That being the case, Warpath just makes more sense. You can apply more pressure and get away from situations better using Warpath. It's a little bit weird not being able to use it whenever you want, but if that's the case, use your horns. That is the end of the skills, except with a warrior, this is not the last skill you have. You have 2 other skills that you have to use to make this class playable, period. This is a rich man's class. It takes a lot of grinding and a lot of farming to get this class in tip-top shape. The other 2 skills you have are actually your class weapons. These are not suggestions on this class. This is not to increase the ability to play your class. These are requirements to play your class. I can foresee a future where this may not be the case, but in Season 0 and Season 1, Warhorns and Spears are completely required to play the class. Warhorns give you rage when you use them. I'm sure you've heard a warrior spam the horn, and they get rage, which allows them to Warpath, which allows them to Battle Frenzy, which allows them to Iron Grip, which allows them to Quake. It allows all of their abilities to function. They do not have a mana bar. So if you're not in a fight or generating rage by fighting mobs before you get into a fight, the only way you can generate it is by using a Warhorn. You have very limited range, and the potential for people to reset on you all the time is high. Having a spear is something that you can chuck at them when they're trying to reset and heal and deal a ton of damage. Each spear in blues or greens will hit for about 200 damage, which is no joke. Alright, while getting into gear with the mace and shield, a couple things that you should know right off the bat. The weapon that you're going to want to use is the Earthshaker. This will reverberate your Quake, which is your Q, into dealing additional damage. So this actually causes your Q to deal a ton of damage. Let's say it hits somebody for 260 damage. That reverberation will actually hit them for another 150. And if you're in full blues, gemmed up with gear, your Q is going to hit about 350 to 400 plus the reverberation. This is the mace you're going to want to use. You can make an argument for the other ones a little bit, but don't argue it. Use this one, trust me. For your helm piece, fashion, baby. None of the helmets that the warriors have will help you in this build at all. The higher grade helmet you can wear, the better. The damage increase, the resistance increased, none of them help you. Go for fashion if you want. They just don't with this build, unfortunately. I see a lot of these things changing in the future with the gear, so at this point, it doesn't really matter on the headpiece. For your shoulders, none of them work for your build, except for this one, where you deal a little bit more damage against wounded targets. Obviously, wound buildup is the gray on the bar of your health. The more they have of that, the more damage you'll do. When it comes to your harness, I recommend Bull Rush harness because while you're being attacked, whether you're blocking or not blocking, it regenerates some rage. So when you're taking damage, you're actually building up your rage, which in essence will allow you to use your abilities more or get away. A bunch of nice things. Bull Rush charge harness for sure. And then for your pants, I recommend Bone Cracker leg breakers, because the other ones have to do with heroic leap and charge, and they are just not as good as Warpath. And with my build, I'm using the Iron Grip. So when I Iron Grip somebody and then I chain them using my E, which is one of my traits, it will keep them there much longer. And that's the gear. All right, welcome to Mace and Shield Breakdown. It's my favorite. First thing to know, before getting into any fight ever with anyone for any reason, if you do not have rage, what do? Hit your horn. It is a requirement for your class. I am not kidding. I promise you. So let's say you're fighting a class that has a block. If you hold your block on a Mace and Shield and then left click, this will break any block. If you break their block or if you hit them in general, this will cause a minor stagger from them. So the biggest combo is if you hit this shield charge, hit a Q. It is a guaranteed hit, and then you can see the reverberation afterwards. So a lot of times, you'll see me running around looking for an opportunity to get close, shield dash, and then Q. It does take rage. However, if you did not Warhorn, you still have enough rage to do that, and then Q at least once. The next thing I would say is important is your evade attack. So if you evade and then attack, it'll silence the enemy. So you can just evade attack, silence them, evade attack, silence them, evade attack, silence them, evade attack, silence them. You can keep them silenced forever by evading and attacking. This is very strong. Obviously, it costs stamina, which can be a little tricky, but with your 8 block pips, it's not so scary to always stam out on a warrior. There is a really nice combo that I like to use for that. If I were to Iron Grip somebody and then hit my E, I evade attack them into a shield charge, into a Q. Those are like the basic skills of the class. And as I was mentioning earlier, let's say I jump attack. You see how you're stuck in that animation at the end of it? If you jump attack and then use your Battle Frenzy, it breaks you out of that animation. I also use it for my Q. If I hit my Q, if you time it right, you can Q out of the animation, or you can Battle Frenzy out of the animation of your Q. And the same thing goes for everything in the class. At the end of your auto attack, there's a delay there. If you just Battle Frenzy, you'll stagger them a little bit and start it again. Or one of my personal favorites that I like to do is I like to evade attack Battle Frenzy, because that evade attack leaves you with a slight second of invulnerability, to where if I'm auto attacking, I like to evade and then Battle Frenzy into a Q. That's essentially the makeup of the Mace and Shield. You'll probably have to re-listen to that a couple times, But that is truly all there is to the class. The rest is just up to how well you can combo. And don't forget to throw spears. If I hit somebody with a hook and I throw them down and I don't have rage to do anything, you bet your sweet I'm pulling out a spear and I'm chucking it, because it does a lot of damage and it resets every 8 seconds. So you can do a lot of different combos with your spear, even if you have the rage. Evade attack, into that, into a Q, evade back, throw a spear, hook them, land the hook. There's a bunch of combos that you can do with the warrior once you understand how each individual part of it works. Another thing to keep in mind is this jump attack. Notice how when you jump attack, it does not cost stamina, and it is an unstoppable attack. You can actually still get knocked out of the sky, which is a pain, but jump attack is fun. Warhorn, run away. Let's get into some clips. Alright, so the very first clip that we have here is actually an interesting one. It is a 1v1v1 between a hunter, me, and a wizard. I sneak up on this hunter, and I'm just trying to get a really solid open. As you can see, I hooked him to the ground. He had to evade away, and I stepped in one of his traps. I stammed out. I didn't even notice this wizard, by the way, until right about now. And I get hit by his fireball, and I was pretty much completely convinced it was just a 1v1, even though there was a ball of fire on the ground. He hits me pretty hard. I'm officially scared of this wizard, and I'm looking for a solid way to reset. The hunter is essentially gone. I start healing up in the corner here. I want to see if I can catch this wizard slacking. And as we can see here, we caught him slacking. He doesn't know I'm here. He's charging up a fireball, looking over in that direction or down. I sneak up with a hook, trying to get my combo off. I miss the evade attack. He plays this extremely well. He silences me, he dodges me, and he throws fireballs at me, forcing me into another reset so that he can get away. And I do this thing where I hit a horn to scare him back while I go chase down this other gentleman. And he's got a bunch of mobs on him. I see him looking at me. I use my warpath, and as you can see how fast I move, he's running away scared. I catch him stammed out, and I just start berating him with auto attacks. And because he's stammed out, I evade attack into him, silencing him. And then as he tries to reset, I hit him with the spear. The 190 is so important in this fight because as he tries to run away, he gets murdered by the mob. And now there's a bunch of mobs on me and a wizard somewhere in the world. And I have to deal with these mobs. A little bit, did you know, when you hit a horn, it actually attracts mobs to you. So if this wizard comes back and I hit this horn, I'm going to be wizard food. And I haven't found an option of opening on this wizard yet, but he tries to sneak up behind me and I catch him. I throw my block up. He hits me with a grav well and I run into a wall like an idiot. I didn't want to stam out, so I just hold my block and see what we're doing. I reset by trying to heal, and pretty much the rest of this fight is me trying to play patty cake until I get an opportunity to get in this wizard's face. I warpath, I run away. I immediately run back to the hunter so I can grab some extra meds to sustain my fight a little bit more. And he comes after me, and I hit him with a random spear just to kind of push him back a little bit, scare him off. The mob hits me, and I have to reset. So I fully break away from the fight, and I fully reset using the meds that I just pick up. And then I start trying to find my in again. All right, and at this point, you're going to see me use my horn. Yo, Frangie, again, thank you for that raid, brother. That was hella nice of you. I warpath immediately, and you can just see how much the chase potential is. And I finally get the start that I was looking for. He just took a lot of sustained damage, And now I know he's a little bit scared, so I'm applying as much pressure as I possibly can. He stands out in front of me, and he throws the bird to try to protect himself, but it just does not matter. Once a warrior is on you, it's just history. Now in this clip, you're going to see we start off by getting attacked by another wizard. And immediately, the first thing I do is I try to get a reset. I chase him down trying to apply some pressure. I inevitably figure out that it's not going to go well for me because he stops me from being able to silence him. I'm running low on stamina. My combustion is really close to popping. This is a full reset. I just start running away, trying to bait him into me. One of the scariest things, I throw a spear at this, by the way. Don't be afraid to waste a spear to stop you from getting sent back into a time warp, by the way. 700 IQ play. I look for a reset so that I can force him to waste stamina on me, and that's exactly what he does. And now I'm confident in just absolutely punishing him for that mistake because he tries to evade away again, and he tries one more time to get away, and it was too close too soon. He inevitably stamps out, and I hit him with a really nice hook into a tether, and he stamps out here trying to get away again. He can't block me. I break his block, hit him with a Q. The combustion's on me. I even proc resilience, and he tries to run away. I'm looking for a reset as well. I miss my spear. He knocks me down again. He's looking for a big fireball on the snap. I start healing. He starts healing. I throw a horn and a spear, and that pretty much secludes the fight because he's panicking. I'm all over him again. I break his time warp. He's trying to run, warpath him down, and he eventually stamps himself out. I do as well, trying to chase this guy, but I am just a little bit safer when stamped out than a wizard. He tries to block me and just gets beat to death. And this last clip, I'm going to play out without going over too much with my words. I want you guys to watch this and see the difference. This is a warrior versus a warrior fight. And I just want you to see the combo potential that this class has. And if you have to rewatch this specific clip a few times, I highly, highly recommend doing that because there's a lot of good combos and information in this one fight to pick up that we talked about when we were in Goldbrook, as well as in the skills. Like I said, feel free to rewatch this one a couple times. It actually has a lot of good stuff in it, and there's not enough time for me to talk about it fully, but have a conversation in the comments about it. Let's enjoy that. And that is the Warrior Guide all wrapped up. I hope you picked up a couple of things about the class on this. My biggest takeaway is if you choose to start and play a warrior, just know you're in for a climb. It's an uphill battle. Farming is the key to success on this class. Getting horns, getting spears, and finding a way to not be afraid of using an excess and abundance of both of them. In all of the clips that I showed you, I throw spears like a madman because they're so effective. They are a bit expensive, but they work so well with your class. And really, outside of that, I hope you picked up plenty of things in this video that you liked about the warrior. If this video helped you at all, please give me a like and a subscription on YouTube. I would really appreciate that. We are so close to 1,000, boys. Please, 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 please. I am begging you for that subscription. Begging you. Thank you guys so much. The support on my YouTube, as always, is insane. Even on my Twitch. This one was rough, as I mentioned before. I had a hard time learning this class in an efficient way to make it work well. So thank you. Shout out to the people who helped me learn it a little bit. There are some really talented content creators that play Warrior on Twitch. I really recommend going and checking them out if you want to learn a little bit more in depth after this. But this should really get you up and running on a Warrior and confident enough to put on that better gear, because the minute you can put on that better gear, you are a terror and a force to be reckoned with. I am live on Twitch Monday through Friday. My name and house name are my Twitch. Come say hi to me. Thank you guys again very much. And until next time, peace.